Hilly, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine too.
Good.
Hilly, when you opened CBGB's in 1973, it
Yep.
wasn't meant to be a rock and roll venue, was it?
No, I was going to do country bluegrass blues.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out. Actually, it was okay, but there weren't enough bands in this neighborhood, and actually the neighborhood was terrible then. This was the Bowery where people would line up at 8 in the morning to get their first eye opener, and if they could stagger to the bar, put their 35 cents up, that's what they got, a wine, a glass of wine. So white porter muscatel were the favorites then. So this was not, so when it changed, it was still the people who liked this music didn't want to come around here.
And then bands like Television started?
Well, Television, the Stilettos, from which Blondie came, the Ramones, and many others started coming in, and Television sent their manager, Terry York, and he persuaded me to put them in, and then one thing led to another. I put them in on a Sunday, then I put the Ramones in at their suggestion. I didn't know anything about these bands, and I had been doing some rock groups, but pretty soon more rock bands who were not allowed at that point to play, not allowed, the clubs would not let them play their own music. And I said, sure, let them come in. To me, the most important thing was for somebody to play their own music and to have it part of themselves. So this is really how it started happening. And then, of course, when I saw there were so many bands happening, then I said, this is great. So I'm insisting the only way they could play here is they had to play their own music. And that caused a little stir and people to start coming around more because that's what they wanted, a place to play their own music.
Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you were a rock and roll promoter.
It wasn't, these were beginning bands. They were not big bands, they were not important bands, but that was the interesting thing in finding new bands and trying to help them.
Mm-hmm. Do you still remember the first Ramones gig here?
Yes, I remember the first Ramones time. It was a minor catastrophe, I'd say. They didn't have it together the first time they played here. Their equipment, they were having a lot of equipment problems, and they weren't rich kids. They didn't have that much money, and the wiring, all the cables and everything. They were shorting out, and they were yelling at each other, having fights on stage. Of course, that's what made it interesting. Right? No, it was not very good. Mm-hmm. And then I was persuaded to have them back. People ask, well, why do you have a band back that was just terrible to begin with? Because they really wanted to play. And I thought that was important, and I liked them.
And they became sort of a house band for that period?
No, they weren't a house band. I had them. I had a lot of bands that played a lot, but the Stilettos, then Blondie came. Stilettos formed a band called Angel, then that formed Blondie, so they came in the fall. But a lot of them played, Television played a lot. Of course, in '75, Patti Smith came in and played. But they played here, how many sets they might have done, 100 sets, 200 sets throughout the years, They do 2 sets a night, 3 days in a row, 3 nights in a row. So they did a lot,
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the new book. Who came up with the idea?
Actually, the publisher. What's the publisher name? Whatever. Abrams Publishing. And Tamar put it together. I gave them a list of all the photographers, and I think most of the bands, and I think we publicized it on our for photographers to get in touch with them who have taken pictures here of bands, and so they got a lot of the photographers, and then I might say I could have included some other bands that never became big, but they were very interesting. But I think they put together a remarkable, spectrum of bands, because they're all different bands through the years, and that's. I think you can get an idea of the diversity in the different kinds of bands, and when you have a few hundred bands got signed out of here, you can see why. Good, a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm. Going through the book and writing the foreword must have brought a lot of memories back to you, right?
Oh yeah, sure. I think looking at Johnny Thunders and Roxy and Iggy Pop, they looked so wasted. I think that was I don't know. There are a lot of good pictures and a lot of remembrances, of course, because people ask, what was your favorite time? Well, even though it's very difficult, when you begin something, the first few years are your favorite time. I mean, you have fond remembrances, you forget all the bad stuff. So, and it was exciting. Whenever something starts, it's exciting, especially exciting. And after you do it for 20 years, 30 years, well, it's interesting, and you're still trying to seek out new things, but it's not the time at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Are you aware that rock and roll music today would be different without you and without your venue?
It's, well, maybe, yeah, I think they needed a place, but there was Max's Kansas City, and I think the fact that they reopened a year later, and they started doing the same thing, and it was a little different. I think that was good, because having two places within 18 blocks away, 17 blocks, was very good. It meant there was a healthy competition, and this is what caused a scene. Having one place is fine, but when they started doing what I was doing, because they saw it seemed to be working, I think that's what made it. And then a couple of years later, you have you have to talk to him. The Mud Club, you have one in Berlin. He's still there. Steve Maas. And I think the fact that Steve, in the early years, used to take pictures here. He was a video guy. He really knew a lot about video, and he'd come in here, pay to get in, and I let him take videos. So, then he started the Mud Club, which was more of a hangout for all these bands. But I think even the Mud Club had a lot to do with it, and I think all the things that started. I think the thing that I did was force them to play their own music, which they wanted to do, and say, this is, however long it takes, I'm going to make it work this way. But they loved it, and I think maybe that's the one thing. As far as everything else, that's making things work, and loving the bands and having interest in them, which is what I assume anybody would do.
Mm-hmm. After more than 30 years, the days of CBGBs might be counted. What's going on?
Well, my landlord wants to double or triple the rent, maybe triple at this point, because rents are going up all over New York. And we're fighting hard. We have a lot of people. I have little Stephen Van Zandt is helping out his organization. A lot of different people, and we got fans from all over the world. writing to the mayor of New York, please, and keep CBGB's there. I don't know. I think we're going to go into the top gear now and go all the way if they don't, because they say they're not going to give it. First, they're going to give us a new lease. Now they're not, then they are, then they're not. And I think they have to, so to speak, get off the pot and give it to us. Or else we're going to just go all out. And we have a little more than a month. Yeah. But till they get rid of us, it'll take a little longer. It'll take another 2-3 months.
Mm-hmm. What can fans do to help you, to support you, to sign this online petition, for instance?
I think they can email online to the mayor of New York City, Mayor Bloomberg. Yes, I think we come to New York. We want CBGBs. I mean, it can't hurt.
Mm-hmm. And they can show up at this.
And they do. They come from Germany. They come from all over. A lot of people come from Germany.
Just to have a look.
I managed a band in Germany, by the way.
Which band?
Well, you never heard of them. Linda Potatoes. They're from north, let's see, west of Hamburg. What's Bremen?
Bremen.
Bremen, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they're wonderful. 4 girls. And they're great. I had them come here. Then I went around with them when they played all over Germany once. They played in Berlin 2 or 3 times. They played in this place which had been in East Berlin, which is downstairs. I think a lot of artists bought the building. It was kind of a crazy place. You go down these, it's a real fire trap, but I mean, they played there. And I know the stage is way high. It was a little place. I mean, if there was a fire, you were stuck. But anyway, it was a great place. And they played it in another place. And then they were wonderful to do. I'm still in touch with them.
When was that?
That was 5-6 years ago. And when I visited them in Bremen a couple of years ago, and his husband built a windmill. He lived on a farm right outside of Bremen, and they rebuilt a big windmill. He took me up there. It was a little scary. It was first time I was in a windmill.
What was the name of the band again?
Linda Potatoes.
Uh-huh.
And I think they still do things around Bremen. One is in. They all have children now, and they had children then, but they're it's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's not easy for everybody. They're all bright people, and the lead singer is. I know she worked for some children's care thing where she's very good with children, and the other, they're wonderful. I really love them. They've become friends through the years, and they email me. And then I had a friend in Frankfurt who did some writing. But Germany is very, very good. I love Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Then the gentleman, his name is Horst Hübner. He was the manager of my first club in the West Village called Hilly's, and he had a birthday party, I forgot what year, in Berlin. He was born in Berlin, and and his wife called me and says, he lives in Florida and he owns some real estate, a lot of real estate there, but his wife called me and said, you've got to come and surprise him. So I paid for the transportation, they booked me into a hotel, and they paid for it and all. And he took me to the place when he was a little kid where he first had his first beer, took me to the first beer, and then where they were, which was the buildings in part of Berlin. It was a poor part of Berlin, was show me where the building, you could see where the building was torn down in the back. There was a building facing the front and a building facing the back. And there we're on the top floor of the building, facing the back. So his niece showed me that this is where your friend Horst. So I had a wonderful time, and he's well to do now, and it was nice. It was nice. And he had all his friends. I think one of his earlier girlfriends there, and and his family and cousins and everybody. So, and I was the only one from the United States, so it was an honor.
Yeah. And every now and then you do have some German acts. Like I remember die Totenhosen, for instance.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful.
Mhm.
In fact, I met somebody. Are they from Düsseldorf?
Düsseldorf,
Yeah.
yes.
Because somebody came here who had a wonderful art bar. I guess there's a place called an artist area or a certain area,
Yeah.
and she came over here. What's her name? Sabina. And she was very tight with all the artists there, and then she visited. She came to. She was a woman in her mid-40s, big woman, very very attractive. And I went over there and visited her. God, she took me to all the punk rock bars. I mean, she could drink brandy, I tell you. They were her pals, all these punk rockers. It was good. So I've had a lot of friends there. But it's interesting. Most of Europe have been interested in CBGBs, and we've had some Tottenhausen, but there are other bands that played from there. A lot of good bands.
Can you tell me about the things that are going on in August and early September, the CBGB benefit?
Yeah, well, we have. Do we have a schedule for the benefit?
Yeah, grab a voice.
Yeah, get a schedule. And a couple of the things are sold out already. We just put it up when did we put it up? Last week? When did we put the schedule up?
We put it up yesterday, and there's already
Yesterday?
we have midnight, and the first show sold out within 20 minutes.
Wow. What was it? The Dead Boys or?
Kid Dynamite's reunion.
Ah.
Yeah, do you want to take it with you? You can take it.
Yeah. And all the bands are going to play for
These
free?
bands.
Or
Some are costing transportation.
yeah.
There's some bands coming from England, and we're paying. But be enough made to be at a benefit. Yeah. And we're charging a little more than we charge, and the bands are. Well, this is the schedule for this week, but the rest of it is
Yeah.
that. These are some. There are more bands coming up all the time, so it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
So now they have the chance to pay you back in a way.
Well, I think it's not paying me back. I think they're contributing to the new bands coming up. If we stay here, it'll help a lot of other people. And I'd like to stay here for myself. But I think, when I think of all the emails and all the word that's come from all over, people wonder. They say, well, don't you feel terrible with everything going on when things have been going pretty well for you finally, financially, it's okay? I said, well, the financial thing is I can't afford $50,000 a year, but I'm happy in the sense that I didn't realize there's so many people interested. So I can't feel completely bad because I didn't know there's so many fans wanted CBGBs to be here. So I feel pretty good in that way, and I think we're gonna fight hard and try to maybe have some little political influence if we can.
Hopefully. Because the idea that this place might turn into a
Stupid.
McDonald's or a Starbucks is
It might
unimaginable,
be a
isn't
bank.
it?
Shouldn't be a bank. Then they're going to really have a trouble because doesn't like United States finances. They may figure out. Never mind. I won't say that. Okay.
Okay, yeah. That was my last question. What if this place if you had to quit? What would it like to be for you, but you already answered it more or less.
No, well, for me, there's some people looking at, in Las Vegas, they'd like me to come there and have a real CBGB's, reflect everything and have it built the same way. And I have a couple of offers. I mean, they're not offers in the sense that, but I mean, wait, hold on just a minute. And then people are talking about having finances. There's one company would try to co-sponsor something in Times Square. Somebody was talking about England. Somebody Tokyo. They're different. At this point in my life, I don't know how much. I mean, my concern would be in controlling the idea of what CBGB's does, and that always, if it's going to be CBGB's, it always has to be basically for the purpose of starting new bands, new music, giving people a chance. And that's, if it makes a lot of money, that's wonderful. But it has to do that. That's the most important thing. And some people say, "Oh, you're selling out, it's in Las Vegas." But I tell you, the musicians don't feel that way. Punk rockers, hardcore punk rockers, they said, "Las Vegas, sure, we'd love to do that." And they love to do it any place. So I'd be comfortable, and of course I'd stay with it. It has to adhere to the principle, however it's done. So that's what I do. Mm-hmm. And I would like to work less than 12 hours a day, which I'm working 9 or 10, so it's good.
Mm-hmm. You would take all the original equipment with you?
I
or?
might even be able to stick it in a couple of vans and bring it. Would that be good?
Uh-huh.
But I think you can duplicate it. You can build it. You can take pictures, and there are people like who do scenery. They could build it. It'd look exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we do the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
except in a different place. I would like to keep it here because it should be here. It's part of New York. It started in New York. And there's no reason why it shouldn't. And everybody else they feel that way even more than I do, other people. So
Mm-hmm. Let's hope for the best.
We're trying very hard, very, very hard. You have no idea.
Mm-hmm. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
It's been very nice talking to you. A real honor. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Backstage home.
Keine Tür. Good man.